There are many different ways of setting up horizon scanning practices. Some can be organized in a highly structured manner, others in an informal way. In this demo, I'm going to demonstrate a common method known as desk research. Desk research involves a manual scan of relevant sources such as websites, recent publications of institutes and organizations, specialized press, and validated social media feeds of relevant experts. It is carried out to collect information from a wide range of different sources about what might affect the future within a specific time frame of study or research. Before we begin, here are a few points you should consider when conducting a horizon scanning activity. First, focus your efforts on identifying weak signals, growing insights, and emerging issues that are likely to have impact on the future. These are things that indicate sparks or beginning of a change that might be coming on the horizon but are not yet captured in the mainstream discourse. Good signals are significant, they're novel and timely. This means that they can create disruptive change in the future landscape. They have not been widely discussed and they are likely to occur within the time frame of your study or research. Secondly, scanning is a participatory activity, so you want to make sure you include essential voices in your research. This will help you avoid bias in your study. Thirdly, use the PESTLE methodology to help you scan widely. PESTLE stands for politics, economics, social, technological, legal, and environment. This methodology will help you consider what you have not looked at. Now let's get to the demo. I'm going to set up a simple system in Google Sheets that can help you collect and file signals. I'll sign into Google Sheets and create a blank new file. I'm going to name my file name your file based on the area or topic that you are studying or researching. Now I'm going to work within the columns of this spreadsheet and assign names to the different columns. Column A, I'm going to write title. The title represents a short sentence that captures the essence of the signal that you are collecting. It's important for it to be memorable. In column B, I'm going to write description. This purpose of description column is to explain the content of the signal. How is this constituting a relevant future development? What change is emerging? Who is affected by it? Where do we see this change coming? You include all these details in the description. Next column is awareness. You define under the awareness column if the signal is known. Is it already on the radar of the organization? For example, has it been mentioned in official documents such as reports, speeches, or briefs? This helps establish the novelty of the signal. Next, I'm going to write implications. You speculate on possible implications of the signal. Is it primarily perceived as a threat or an opportunity? Is it a negative or a positive development? Who is primarily affected by it? Is the change limited to a region or area under consideration? Or are there spillover effects that you're anticipating? Next, you place the impact column. Under the impact column, you assess the anticipated impact of the signal. What are the potential political, social, economic, technological, or environmental impacts? For prioritization purpose, it's also useful to include a scale to assess the impact. And so for this reason, I'm going to leave the F column blank. Under the E column, I'm going to leave the E space for you to include what are the impacts, whether it's political, economic, social, or legal. And here I'm going to leave the scale. So let's type it. Next, we have likelihood. Under the likelihood, you estimate the probability of the signal emerging. For practice purpose, you can also include a scale here to rank it from either very probable to very unlikely. Then finally, under H, you include a reference. This is where you name the source of the publication or the interview that is responsible for the signal that you have collected. If available, you can also include a link to the online reference for the signal that you have collected. I'm going to include brief descriptions under these columns so that anyone who has access to this sheet will be able to understand what the column is functioning for. Now I have included descriptions under each of these columns describing what each one of them stands for. I'm also going to include some stylistic, formatting to the file so that it can be easier for users to include. So there, I have added, stylistic formatting to the file. Now let's go over to the scale and the likelihood. These are the two columns where your user is able to select on a scale of 1 to 5 what they think is either the impact or the likelihood of the signal occurring. For this purpose, I'm going to use data validation to provide a list of options for your users to select to categorize the signal. For this reason, I'll move under the data column, I'll select data validation, and then I'll add rules to determine the scale and the likelihood. But let's start with the scale. So next, I'm going to add color codes to these options or rules so that it can be easy for the user to identify. For very high impact, I'm picking red. For high impact, I'm picking blue. For fair impact, I pick green. For low impact, I pick light blue. And for very low impact, I pick light red. And I click done. You'll find out after adding this, the user will be able to select from a list of options a number that reflects his or her assessment of the signal that has been collected. I'm going to repeat the same process for the likelihood column using data validation. I hope you saw what I did. Let me repeat it for your benefit. You move over to the data option of your screen and move to navigate to data validation. Then you click on add rule, where you now add a list of rules. So since we're working with likelihood here, 5 will represent extremely likely, 4 will represent very likely, 3 represents fairly likely, 2 represents very unlikely, while 1 represents extremely unlikely. Next, I'm also going to add color codes to this one, following the same pattern of colors that I used in the first one. Add it there. You now have options for you to determine the likelihood of this signal occurring and making an impact on the future. You could also repeat this process for PESO. The common challenge is that many signals fall within many categories. For example, you can have a signal that is both political, that will have political impact, or also have economic impact, and may have legal implications. If you are going to use this, provide options for user to categorize the signal, it will be advisable to select the framework that is the strongest, that represents where the strongest impact will happen for the signal. For example, if a signal will have political and technological impact, but it has stronger political impact, then you select political. That is entirely up to you if you want to add, options to this framework. Otherwise, you can leave it blank and let the person collecting, indicate that this has political, social, economic, impact. So you can, the same thing also goes for, implications. You can either create an option for you to select either a threat or opportunity, but you can also leave it blank so that people can write in, giving detailed information about what they think are the implications of this signal. So I leave that option to you to determine how you would like it. As for me, I'm leaving it blank so that you can decide if you want to do that or not. So I'm going to include these templates in the resources section so that you can see, you can have this template for you to use. You can replicate it, you can copy it and use it. Also, in the template I'm going to use, I'm going to leave an example. You'll see you'll see a signal that I've collected. You see how I write a description, a couple of signals there so that you can understand how to use this in a practical sense. I also want to make note that Google Sheets is one of the simplest and the most basic ways you can collect signals. There are a lot of tools that people who work with strategic foresight or who carry out scanning activities use. Examples are Notion, Obsidian, Digo, but this is a very simple setup. As time goes on, you'll be able to, with experience, you'll be able to find other tools that are useful for you to carry out, scanning practices, especially in a participatory setting. So before I close this demo, I want to mention a couple of things you need to bear in mind. In your scanning processes, don't hesitate to include signals that feel uncertain or weird in the beginning. You will eventually filter out all the signals that are not relevant. The signal might be new to you and it's not new to others. At the same time, a signal might not be new to you and it will be new to others. So when especially in a participatory process, okay, don't dismiss any information that you not agree with or that other people don't agree with, or things that are kind of alternative or fringe perspectives. So you may want to explore all these perspectives further. Thank you for completing this demo. Let's get back to the lesson.